Good Saturday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my condo where we are holed up. Look at me. I put makeup on. I put lipstick on. Are you proud of me? I just thought I'd spruce up just a little bit today, you know. We did a workout video today, Bob and I. Good for us. That's not a thing we like to do, so good for us. I think we're moving into that place of what my therapist would call radical acceptance. You know, we don't like it, but it's to our advantage to accept it, the situation. We've got, Uncle Justin on the TV there talking softly to us and reassuring us, and then we have our stern dad, Doug, telling us the worst case scenario. If you don't do it, this is what could happen, and not only that, there's consequences for your actions. The police are out. This is real. This is very, very, very real. So, what are we gonna do? We're gonna cook. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cook. So today, we're gonna make a beef stew. And it brings together, I realized after I decided to make it, that so many of the techniques I've already been showing you are involved in making a good beef stew. And then I got all this pastry in the fridge too, so I thought we'd make a very simple apple galette with very little sugar, so it's not going to be a real, just a nice dessert, a nice fruit dessert, because the little pamphlet we got today in the mail, I don't know if you got it, about we're staying home now, there's this really key message about stay healthy, stay hydrated, stay active. So I've put a jug of water on the end of the counter here. Let me see if I can make you see it. I'm having trouble doing that. Anyway, I'm going to turn this around anyway. So I put a jug of water and some pretty glasses at the end of the counter to make us drink more. And we did a workout video, and I've tidied up the patio to make sure we get outside. And I'm continuing on my mission for us to eat well. So here's Bob. He's going to come on over and film. And I'm going to start over at the stove, Bob. So come on over to the stove.
Okay.
Here we go.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone.
So, you may not have watched the chicken caldero recipe, but that was a braised meal. A stew is basically a braising with a little bit more intentionality around the liquid. And
I'm not getting you here. There we go.
Just learn to slide down, Bob.
Okay, I can't remember it.
So, the very first thing, and this is just a la Julia Child, is to get your pan really good and hot, because we're going to brown the meat. We're going to brown the meat in just a little bit of oil. And I'm using a canola oil rather than olive oil because of the higher smoking point. I do not want the smoke detector going off. Oh my God, that keeps happening. I hope it doesn't happen today. I may have to put the fan on in order to prevent it. And we'll have the back door open as well. But we won't open the back door right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do that right now while I talk to you. Oh my God, the smoke detector goes off when I'm cooking all the time, even though I have this lovely fan over my stove, but I always forget to turn it on. So, pain in the neck. Anyway, here we go. Here we go again.
Ready?
So I'm going to get that really good and hot. And while I'm waiting for it to heat up, I'm going to season the meat a little bit. Now, you know the difference between seasoning and herbs, right? Seasoning just enhances the flavor of the food. It doesn't really change it. So we're just really wanting to enhance the flavor of this meat because it's a very low cost, therefore tougher cut of beef. It requires braising to become tender, and so it takes a long cooking time, but it is so flavorful. So we do not want to disguise it. So really salt and pepper is all we need. And maybe a little paprika. And because these are spices, well, salt's not a spice, but not herbs, they go in at the beginning of cooking to bloom their flavors, right? You can always add salt and pepper again later. Okay, so we just seasoned that up a bit. We'll roll them around in that to season them all over. And now I'm going to brown them. Now I use my biggest pan because you don't want to crowd the meat. The thing about browning is if it starts to create moisture, water that comes out of the meat, you no longer are getting browning, you're kind of boiling the meat. And that is not what we want. Right now what we're doing is searing it in hot fat, so we don't crowd the meat. So everything's well separated, and we're going to brown it on all sides. I'm going to put the fan on just low, and hopefully you'll still hear me. It's going to be loud to begin with, and then I'll turn it down. Okay, how's that, everybody? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me? Okay. So we want to get it good and brown on all sides, and the reason that we start with the meat is that the brown bits that it makes in the bottom of the pan are part of the way that we really richen up the flavor. This morning I put on some stock. Remember let's go back a step. Remember I said I'm going to use all of the methods that I've already shown you. Saute. This is saute, basically the same thing, but browning meat. So good hot oil. Keep it from very much moisture. This morning I made a stock. If I had some beef bones, I would have made a beef stock. I didn't. I made a vegetable stock. I just doubled the amount of vegetables in there, and I still simmered it for 5 hours. I've been letting it cool. When you make a vegetable stock, you don't have any fat to take off, so you can skip that step. I've also made sure today that I've kept a little bit out, because for the thickening, I'm going to be making a roux, R-O-U-X, a French word, for thickening, and I'll show you that in a little bit. That's just like we use when we make mac and cheese. That's a roux. So a bunch of things we already know that go into making a stew. Now, see that cube is starting to be good and brown on one side? So, turn them. Turn this flame down just a titch, only because I don't want that smoke detector to go off. If it does, we'll pause. Now I have a clean plate here that when these are browned, I'm going to put them on a clean plate. This one has blood on it, so I'm not going to use that one. I have a clean plate to take them off to put here when they're done. And they're brown on all the sides that I can get to. Some of them you can't when they're too thin. You want to sear it as much as possible. Now I'm not making a beef bourguignon or bœuf bourguignon, but it's the same method. The French and the English cooking are not that different in methodology. This is an English stew. You can make it with lamb, if you like lamb. I like how this one looks here, and this one that are nice and brown. Look at that. So they're coming out. not trying to cook them right through. Okay, they're coming out. Now, the three sisters go in. Some chefs would call these the aromatics. I call them the three sisters. Onion, celery, carrot, the flavor base. The aromatics go in next. They're going to bring up the brown bits that I have from the meat. I think I can turn this off. We were successful in not causing, I just want this texture to go off.
So far.
So far. I think we'll be fine. These don't give off that kind of smoke. So the aromatics are next. Now in this case, I chop them up into, they're more of a dice, not big hunks. They are to create the flavor of the stock and the meat. You can put garlic in there if you want. I didn't today, but you put the garlic in at the end of the saute, okay? Because it is more fragile than these aromatics, and it will burn.
And if it's date night, you might want to avoid the garlic.
Yeah, date night right here in the condo. I think we're going to watch the National Theatre tonight. My friend Fiona told us there's a very good National Theatre broadcast that they're doing this week as James Corden is going. It's extremely funny, so that's going to be our date night tonight. If this was a book bourguignon, I'd have a pot here with a whole bottle of red wine in it, reducing down to half, because that's what you do for book bourguignon. My onion is looking translucent, so that's good. So now I'm going to add the liquid to that. Like I told you, I've got some of my liquid reserved for later on for thickening, and this is going right in here. To get us all the rest of the brown bits. Okay. Now I'm going to get my oven mitts, and I'm going to pour that into the pot that I'm going to use for simmering it for about 2.5 to 3 hours, which is why we are making this at 3 o'clock today. That's why stews don't tend to be a weekday dish, because they need a long time. You can either do it in the oven or on top of the stove, and I actually prefer the oven, but today, because I'm using my oven to make a galette, I've opted to use the top of the stove. My oven, as pretty as it is quite small inside. Plus they need different heats. Boy, if I had one of those big wolves, you know, with the 2 ovens, whew. Just think what I could do with that. Seems like overkill for the 2 of us. Okay. The meat's going in there. And I'm going to put the heat on, get it up to a bit of a, whoops, wrong one, up to a bit of a boil. And then I will be turning that down to the lowest simmer and let it simmer for 2.5 to 3 hours. You have to try the meat to see if it's tender. The only way to do it is to know how long it's going to need to go, but around 2.5 to 3 hours. Now, while we're over here talking about stew, I'm going to show you a few things. You'll notice I didn't put the vegetables in. These are the vegetables I'm going to put in when it's when the meat is tender, and we're going to have about half an hour before dinner. I'm going to peel and clean some potatoes, some carrots. Turnip is really good in English stew. I really like turnips. So root vegetables in nice big bite-sized chunks. Those are going to go into the stew to make the dinner. Or, if you like, you can also peel your potatoes, boil them on the side, and make mashed potatoes and have all that gravy over your mashed potatoes. Very nice as well. My ex-mother-in-law always put turnip in her stew, and I loved her stew. It was so good. That's where I learned to do it. They didn't do that in my family. She was Scottish. So maybe there was a difference. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, and, oh yes, one more thing. So I'm doing it in advance because I want to show you. We're going to make a roux to thicken the stew at the end. Again, that's going to go in really close to the end. So I taught you this when we were making a mac and cheese. A roux is butter and flour, equal amounts, right? Equal amounts butter and flour. So I have here 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to turn that down because that's a big element. Get my whisk. Now let me tell you about, I didn't tell you this. We made for the mac and cheese, we made a white sauce, which takes a white roux. A white roux means it's only cooked until the flour proteins have cooked off and it's still white. So that when you put the milk in, it's white. You didn't remember I told you it wouldn't be the end of the world if it went brown, but you want a nice white sauce. That means you only take the roux to the point of the flour being cooked and no further. To make a blonde roux, you cook it down more till it goes kind of a nutty brown color. No, I mean like pale peanut butter color. That's a blonde roux, and that's used for some things. Or you can make a very dark roux, which they call a brick or a brown roux, and that can be used for thickening a stew that you want to be very brown. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now the only thing is that the more you cook it, the browner it is, the less thickening agent it has. So in this case, because this is a stew and I want the gravy quite thin, my roux will be, it's okay to make a roux with this brown because I'm not looking for it to be super thick like I would like a cheese sauce for vegetables or a cheese sauce for macaroni. So, come on over and watch, Bob. So right now it has not really even started to cook the proteins off. I'll turn this right down. Am I on the right one? No, this one. I'm on low already. All right, I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go down here. Okay. Okay, so bubbling all over. I'm going to cook it, and you can still smell flour. If you can still smell flour, it's not quite, the proteins haven't come off yet. This will, I'm going to keep this for later. I would normally make it at the time, but I wanted to show you. Now, another thing about making a roux, when you have a hot roux, you can't put hot liquid in it. If you put hot into hot, you're just going to make lumps. You don't want to do that. So that's why I cooled this stock right down, so that when I put it in, it will be cool into hot. See, it's still just maybe what we call a blonde roux right now. It's kind of starting to darken up just a little bit, but I'm going to go a little longer. It's the basis of all sauces. Well, not all sauces, shouldn't say that, but many, many, many sauces start with a roux. And it's so much nicer than just adding flour, raw flour to your stew, to your gravy, anything like that. It's so much nicer. It makes it velvety smooth. Maybe I need to turn it up just a titch. Oh, wrong one again. There we go. I was watching a little cooking video yesterday and people were learning how to make a roux, and they kept, in the chat box, they kept spelling it R-U-E. No, it's R-O-U-X, it's a French word. Oh yes, I'm really getting the smell to it now. You have to keep stirring, otherwise you'll burn, right? Okay, when we're done here, we're going to make, this is not going very dark, I don't know why. It's taking its time. So how's everybody doing today? While I'm cooking this, I'll just talk to you. You can look at me, Bob. Did you get outside today? All because, as I said, because we're in the higher risk category, they're asking us not to go out, especially not when it's crowded. And I felt like today, so many people who are working, who have essential services, may be having their weekends. So I'm going to leave the sidewalks and the walking trails and whatnot for those people.
The fines are in place, aren't they, today?
The fines are in place. If you're close to people, the fines are in place. And you know, the scary part about it, the fine is like $750 or more. But also that they're saying that if the police ask you, you have to identify yourself, and if you don't, the fine is like $10,000 and you could go to jail for a year. Oh my God, are we in martial law? I guess that's what it takes. And funny, I'm not feeling angry about that or anything. I'm actually quite thankful. Would you agree with me on that, guys? I don't know. All right, so have a look now. See, it starts. Come and look, Bob. Come and look at the brew. See, it's gone quite dark. Look at that. That is beautiful. And so I'm going to put in my stock. And you can see that's not that thick, but I don't want it particularly thick for this, but I will cook that until it thickens up a bit. And I'm not going to put that into the stew right now. I'm not going to put that into the stew until I've got the vegetables cooking in it. Okay, and yeah, that's coming silky smooth now. Yeah, really nice. So I'm just going to turn that off and leave that. So like I say, normally I would make that at the time. Yeah, it's really nice and getting nice and thick. I'm going to leave that and come on over to make our galette. You're spending a little bit of extra time with me today. So Bob, if you can go around that side of the counter. We're going to start our galette. I've got the oven heating up to 425 because it's a pastry. Oh, he's twirling. Any interesting comments that I can respond to there, Bob? Oh, what did I do?
No. Bob Barkwell is back to the land of the home of the brave and free.
Absolutely.
And speaking of free, at least we have health care.
Yeah. That's a good thing, but I mean, we've got to be so careful, or we could end up like Italy or the States, for that matter. Can't just rely on that. Okay, so here's my pastry. I took that out of the freezer earlier today. That's the same pastry that we made the other day. And I'm going to roll that out. A galette is just one piece of pastry made into a very rustic looking pie, but with without all the crimping and the fanciness. You know, you don't have to have a pie plate even. You're just going to do it on a cookie sheet. So I'm going to roll that out nice and big and keep all the ragged edges, because that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to transfer that right over here onto my cookie sheet. I hope that's big enough. I might need a bigger one. Hang on, I'm going to get a bigger one. Now an apple galette, you can just put apples in here, cut up, a little cinnamon, and then I'm going to show you how to do the edges. But oh, what did I do with my parchment paper? I want parchment paper on there. Don't worry if it's hanging over a little bit, because we're going to be folding that up in a really rustic kind of way in a few minutes. Now, I thought though, just to fancy it up a little bit, I'm going to make a bit of a filling before we do the apples. My filling, it can be, just if you come over here, it can be yogurt, it could be sour cream, or it can be ricotta cheese. Any of those three will work. And I'm going to use about 3/4 of a cup, I'll say. An egg. This is similar to when we made lasagna. We put the ricotta, we put an egg in it and flavored it up with savory flavors, but today I'm going to flavor this up with some maple syrup to make it a little bit sweet and a little bit maple flavor. But a tablespoon and a half, I'd say I put in there. And the egg is there just to set it. It's going to make like a little custard. You know what I think will be nice in here too is a little vanilla. Just a second, I'm going to get it. I have a brand new bottle here somewhere.
I'm good at hiding things.
There's the old bottle. There's the old bottle. That's good enough. Okay, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of vanilla. Just made a little custard, a little sweet custard with maple syrup. And I'm going to put that into the center of my galette. Not too close to the edges, just keep it like a little disc like that. There we go. Now I'm going to cut up some apples. Come on over here, Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Cut up some apples. Take the bottom off. And I put it on the tail end of one of my videos the other day. I said apple pie does not need sugar. It really doesn't. Apples are plenty sweet, and when they cook, they get even sweeter. Oh no, I want. Oh, that'll do. I'm gonna keep them in nice big chunks. You could slice them smaller if you wanted to.
That's an amazing little tool. I like that.
I know. Works really well if you take the bottoms off, because then it doesn't. The skin doesn't hold it together.
Mm-hmm.
And you can peel them if you want. Some people really object to having the skins in their pie. I personally like it, but I've grown used to that. You can or not. It's up to you. I think Bobby would prefer it with the skins off, but oh well. When he makes the pie, he can take the skins off.
I'll never get what I want.
Never. There's some violins.
But I get what I need. Yeah.
There's some violins playing. One more. I've used 4. A pie takes a lot more than that, but a galette, you don't have a room for more than that. The reason I'm putting them in a bowl is because I'm going to put some cinnamon on there, and the only really way that I can find to get the cinnamon equally distributed is to do it in a bowl. And I'm using about a teaspoon, I'll call that, whatever, and a spoon. Now, if you insisted on sugar, this is when you put it in. Just a little bit of sugar in here. These are pretty sweet apples, so I'm not going to do that. And put them right in on top there. Like I told you, my oven is up to 450. I'll have it at 450 for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to shut it down, turn it down to 350, and give it another 20 minutes or so, like that. Now, you just pull up the sides like this, overlap them a little bit, leave those raggedy edges there. And leave a little bit of the apple showing. That's it. That's it. Now, a little bit of an egg wash. I forgot that bit. A little bit of an egg wash. Some people would like to sprinkle that with sugar on the top of the egg wash. I think that's allowable. You want to do that. Just an egg. Fork to whisk that up. Oh, clean that up in a sec. Just going to brush that with a little bit of egg. That gives it a really, really nice browning crust. But it's already our good pastry that we made, so it's going to be flaky and delicious. If you had some turbinado sugar or raw sugar, you could sprinkle that on there right now, but I'm not going to do that because we don't need any extra sugar. Just going to get some paper towel to clean up that little bit of edge. This is going into my very hot oven now. And I will show you some pictures later on when it comes out, okay? In she goes. Set the timer for, I'm going to say 12 minutes actually. I'm going to reduce that a little bit. Set it for 12 minutes, so remember to turn it down. The stew is bubbling away there at a very, very low simmer. The roux is ready for later. My vegetables are ready to be peeled and put in there. And we're going to have a very nice weekend dinner tonight. So, just a finishing thought, really take care of yourselves. Have some fun every day if you can. That's what we're trying to do. See if you can stay active, eat well, hydrate, all those good things, and we'll get through this together. Love you.
Ditto. Have a good one.
Bye.